Welcome to Walpole Five-0. I'm Chief John Carmichael. Today's June 25th, 2018. And as we usually do before we get into the log, I just want to mention a couple of things. First of all, school is out, so great job this year for all of our students. Finishing another year of school, and I hope everybody has a great vacation. Want to mention the OUI Commission. By statute, there's an OUI Commission that was established once the marijuana legalization passed. And as a result, the Mass Chiefs of Police Association is supposed to have a chief that is assigned to this commission. Through Mass Chiefs, I have been appointed and selected to sit on that commission. We met for the first time last week, and we will be meeting on occasion throughout the year until January 1st, when we have to make recommendations to the Cannabis Control Commission on issues that pertain to OUI drugs. And specifically OUI drug driving with marijuana involved. Some of the things that I think we need to do, we need to have implied consent for drug recognition experts, so that when someone's brought to the police station, they are offered a drug recognition expert, just like currently with alcohol, when they get a breath test offer. And if they refuse that test, they should lose their driver's license if they don't take the drug recognition expert evaluation. And in addition to that, we need to accept them throughout the state as a standard, because drug recognition experts are they are experts in detecting drugs, drug use in people. And if you look at some of the other places across the country, once they graduate from that very significant training, they are usually accepted to testify in court. So we need to get to that point here in Massachusetts, because while yes, we can deal with OUI drugs, we need to make sure we're dealing with it the right way, and there is some deterrent, or else we're gonna just go right down the same path as Colorado and Washington, with increased crashes because of marijuana and also increased fatalities because of it. So we don't need that. So I look forward to working on that commission. Next thing is basketball cop. We had a group of boys from the 4th grade at Old Post Road School. They won the basketball cop raffle at the school, and the boys came out last week and we played them in the new basketball court, which is right across the street from the police station, and all the boys had a great time. We did lose both games, unfortunately, on the police side of things, but they did a good job in playing. Senior visit today. I want to thank Kerry McManama from the Council on Aging, and all of the people that came from the Senior Center today to visit the police station as their own little kind of personal open house. We had about 45 or 50 seniors come, and they really enjoyed the tours. Appreciate all the officers, Deputy Chief McKenzie, Lieutenant Kilroy, brought everybody through, showed them the new facility, and they were very impressed, as are we. So the seniors, soon to be our neighbors right next door, with the Senior Center moving along, and they're looking at probably December timeframe to open up over there. So we're looking forward to that. Community policing. I appreciate the officers over the weekend attending a couple of block parties down on Redgate and Ginley Road. These are, sometimes we get the invites to those. The police officers will go by, bring a cruiser, let the kids kind of poke around and see the inside of the car and turn the lights and siren on. So we always appreciate that, their efforts in doing that. Also, the girls Walpole High School lacrosse team, they made it all the way to the state championship again, for this, the 3rd year in a row. Congratulations to the girls. Unfortunately, they lost to Wellesley in this one, but keep your head up high, girls. That was a great effort, and I appreciate our officers, especially Koenig, Dolan, and Pergicante, as well as the rest of the whole 4 to 12 shift, who assisted in providing the girls with a welcome back to Walpole and giving them an escort back. But great job. It's really impressive to be able to make it to that level consistently over a 3-year time frame. The RAD road race, rape, aggression, defense, that's a program we teach here in the police department that basically teaches women risk awareness, risk reduction techniques, as well as self-defense. We also teach a program to youth. We have a RAD Kids program. A couple of people took the class recently, Kerry Serrato and Sarah Shane. They were impressed with the program. They went through it, and as a result, they wanted to help give back to the community and help give back to the RAD program. So they came up with the idea of having a RAD road race. They then worked with Joe Grant, who's a Walpole resident, and also Bethany and Hazeldine, and they came up with an absolutely amazing race that started right here at the police station. It went down South Street, crossed over the White Bridge, and went up into the town forest behind Walpole High School. So we had two different events. One was a 1 mile kids event, fun run, and the second one was a 5K. And we only had 80 people originally sign up, and appreciate the rec for signing everybody up through their site. And then we doubled those numbers with people that showed up on the day for registration, and it was just a great turnout. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate all of the officers who helped out, especially Officer Bethany, Sergeant Hazel, and Sergeant Becker. Officer Hart Rebel came out as well. Chelsea PD, Chelsea Police Department, Chief Kais sent out their popsicle truck, so all of the kids were able to get free ice cream, which was really cool. And if you haven't seen that truck, it's basically an ice cream truck that looks like a police car. It's all marked up as a police car. It's got lights and siren, and it was a real hit with the kids, so we appreciate that. I just want to thank the sponsors, and it'll take a minute, but we couldn't have done it without them. 7-Eleven, Dedham Savings, K-Excavating, Balloons by Sealy, Bridget Graham from Caldwell Banker, Dental Associates of Walpole, Dunn Jewelry, Hint Water, Jimmy's Pizza, who donated the pizza, Mom's Club, Napa Tandies, Norfolk Police Union, Sinorama, Thomas Funeral Home, and Walpole Pediatrics. Couldn't have done it without you guys. We really appreciate that. And a great community effort, and a great time was had by all, so we really appreciate that. So, getting into the log. An arrest. A 22-year-old Boston man. He was passed out in the shrubs in Walpole Center while he was waiting for the bus. He was approached by Officer Pylon, who conducted a field interview observation. Was able to identify that person and determine that that person had a default warrant out of Concord PD. As a result, that individual was placed under arrest on the warrant with no additional charges. Criminal harassment. An individual from Concord, New Hampshire has continued to harass a person from Walpole. As this has been going on, and as a result, we determined that this person is a career criminal, a long criminal history, and has some actual open violent crimes. And as a result, we were able to apply for and get a search warrant. Not a search warrant, but an arrest warrant, and the authorization from the district attorney's office to rendict that person back to Massachusetts in the event they are arrested. That person does have some open cases, but we are continuing to monitor this situation, and hopefully we will be able to deal with it in the very near future. Suspicious activity. There was a report of a female operating a dark Chevy Malibu. It approached another individual and threatened them before it took off. We did catch up with this person. We were able to find out that it was a mistaken identity. Two people had some type of disagreement prior to this, and it was actually the wrong person that they approached and threatened. Officer Slavin took that report. A noise complaint. Officers responded up to Sector 3, which is West Walpole. This was for a reported noise complaint. An individual sitting in their vehicle playing music loudly. Obviously, this sparked some concern with the neighbors who called. We've gone up there. This has been an ongoing issue that the officers did a good job of resolving, and hopefully that won't continue into the summer. An arrest. A 32-year-old male from Roxbury was arrested for shoplifting, partly because they were uncooperative with the identification process, were not cooperative in providing identification, and as a result, this person had stolen multiple items of merchandise from a Route 1 location, and as a result, they were placed under arrest. The merchandise was recovered, mostly things like earbuds and clothing items and that type of thing. I also added in here that many times when the officers are conducting a search after incident to arrest, they will ask about any weapons or anything that can harm them. The individual said no. When the officer reached in their pockets were loaded with syringes, which led to the suggestion that the person has a substance use disorder, most likely opiates, and as a result that individual was arrested. Years ago we were able to charge people with this, but as a harm reduction model, syringes are no longer illegal. So while that charge doesn't apply anymore, it's still a very significant officer safety issue, because obviously the issues such as hepatitis and that kind of thing come into play, and then the officer reaching in the hands into the person's pockets when they're searching them, they could be poked with that syringe, it happens. We've had officers that have been subjected to that in the past. Suspicious person, officers responded to an area on Main Street. This was for an intoxicated female who was asking customers for money. The individual was identified, and she was checked out to be that they were okay, and then they were transported to their residence. An arrest, a break-in and entering, a 22-year-old male, homeless. Recently, what we've been having in Walpole is some break-in and enterings in houses of worship throughout Walpole. As a result, as I mentioned last week on Walpole 5-0, we did make one arrest. Our detectives had followed up on a case. It appears that some of these breaks could have been relative to a person that was being homeless, and as a result, we arrested that person. However, we continued to have some of these issues, and as a result, Officers Giblin and Henneberry, they went out one night and they started to do some security checks, and while doing so, checked the location in East Walpole, found out that a church had been entered, and they made entry, and upon doing this on the midnight shift at the Union Congregational Church on Rhodes Ave, they were sweeping that building, and they came across an individual inside who had broken in. That individual also has an open case for breaking and entering back in April that was reported here in Walpole 5-0 at Peggy Lawton's on Washington Street. So this person was placed under arrest, charged with the additional B&E. It also turns out that person had an ankle bracelet on their ankle at the time, thereby being on probation for other crimes, and obviously has not learned their lesson yet. So a great job by Officers Giblin and Henneberry, and appreciate their efforts in doing that. A summons, Officer Giblin conducted a motor vehicle stop. He discovered the operator had a suspended driver's license. As a result, tow was called out. That individual will be summoned for operating after suspension. Assisting a citizen, individual reports that a family member keeps entering their residence unannounced. This was kind of an issue that peace was restored, spoke to both parties, and were able to give each person their options and reach a settlement. Hazard, an unoccupied vehicle was rolling in a parking lot. A citizen was able to run over to it somehow and stop that vehicle. Officer Foley did respond, however, upon arrival, that vehicle was gone on arrival. A hit and run, Main Street at Bullard, a very dangerous intersection. Only put it in there just to be aware. We do have a lot of, probably about 25% of our crashes nowadays, as I've mentioned before, are hit and runs. So for whatever reason, the surchargeable accidents, citations, people are fleeing. They're not staying behind. So if you're in that type of situation, if you can, try and get a registration plate quickly, but obviously your first priority has to be your safety and getting out of the street. Protection order, department up in Maine contacted our department regarding a protection order. However, there were some issues with paperwork and locating the parties involved with this situation, so this kind of one was put on the back burner until the courts up in Maine can figure out what's going on with it. Credit card fraud, individual from South Walpole, it was reports of fraudulent use of credit card information all the way up to the amount of $35,000. This is very unfortunate. The report is not yet complete at this time, but we are still looking into this one. A lot of money. These things are very difficult, and all I can say is that you always have to protect your information as best you can. It's very difficult these days to realize that. and every once in a while check your credit to make sure that there's nothing on there that doesn't belong there. And speaking of fraud, there was another situation over the weekend where there was a GoFundMe scam. This was a situation where an email was sent to many people, and some of them were representative town meeting members. And this was a situation where there was a boy, and they used this boy's picture, and they used some information that the mom was had to, that this boy was going to be getting an operation, and they didn't have the money to pay for the operation. The mother was asking for some funds to help pay for that, really kind of tugging at people's hearts. And ultimately, we looked at this. The town seal was actually on this letter, and some of the language identified in here would not suggest that it was somebody that's familiar with Walpole or from around Walpole. And the grammar was not consistent with somebody that looked like they were really trying to do it just the way they wrote it. They're doing it for the mother instead of the mother actually doing it. And so there's a lot of things that stuck out with this. And what I really want to do is thank all the citizens who alerted the police, but also the other residents. I think it was like through Facebook, but they also notified me and the station. And we were able to get the word out there so that we didn't have any people from Walpole that were victimized by the scam. And it's very unfortunate because the GoFundMe, that whole idea is a very good idea to help people that need it. Unfortunately, whenever you see that, there's always going to be somebody that takes advantage of it. So appreciate everybody that stepped up and took care of that. A crash, motor vehicle crash with injuries. It was on Washington Street in Short. Only reason why I put that one in there too is because that is a high crash intersection. Many years has made the statewide high crash location intersections for the state of Massachusetts. I know one year, I think it was last year, we had 14 or 15 that were right there at that intersection for the year, which is that's significant. Counterfeit person came into the police station to report counterfeit $100 bills. 925 Officer Moriarty spoke to the reporter. They were trying to determine where they got that. We have had some situations recently, not just in Walpole, but in the area of Norfolk County with $100 bills being passed that are false, fake, and as a result, we had notified the Secret Service, who were the federal investigative agency for that, and we are continuing to look at that because many times these bills will have the same serial numbers and that type of thing. So anyways, that's still under investigation at this time. Shots fired, reported gunshots in the area of Washington Street at Zone. 926, Officer Bieberman, Officer Lagoa checked that area. Negative. I don't know, there's been situations right along that stretch of Washington Street in the past where we are getting calls of gunshots being fired anywhere from Wash and Short all the way to that stretch, all the way down to Stone. And why it's happening, I don't know, but we have checked on that. Some people claim that they didn't think that it was fireworks or a backfire or anything like that, but in any event, at this point it's still unfounded. Summons, Officer Biedman conducted a motor vehicle stop. An individual the operator was from Missouri. They were unregistered, uninsured, have been attaching plates to that vehicle, and as a result, that person will be summoned for unregistered, uninsured vehicle. Bolo, be on the lookout from Norwood PD, an individual that was probable cause for an arrest for a situation that happened over there. That individual fled on foot in the area of Mylord Street. Officers were informed to use caution that the individual was possibly intoxicated and had a long criminal record in their background. Officers Moriarty and Lagoa responded up there. The area check was negative, so that person was gone on arrival. So that's it for today, June 25th. I know it was a quick one. It was a pretty quiet week, but today's June 25th, 2018, and I appreciate you for joining me with Walpole 5-0. And I will, actually, you know what? There's one thing I forgot to mention. The Walpole Youth Police Academy. The Walpole Youth Police Academy started today. Today was day one. We have like 38 kids in the class, which is outstanding. We have 7th and 8th grade boys and girls. and today was their first day. Essentially what they did was they learned some drill and ceremony, falling into formation, learning a little bit of teamwork and discipline. And then they moved on to a drug awareness class and drug resistance class. We used the Fatal Vision goggles, played some basketball and water balloon tosses. And then we did that here at the police station. Then we went up to Bird Middle, where they did the rest of the day. They did self-defense techniques, and appreciate the kids coming out. And we look forward to a great week again with the Youth Police Academy. And that's it for today, June 25th. Thank you very much, Chief John Carmichael.